Like, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, but if not boyfriend, why boyfriend shaped? Hi guys, it's Sarah. Welcome back to another video here on my channel. Hope you guys are doing well. It is October 30th when I'm recording this, so it's almost Halloween or Samhain. I am so excited. I cannot wait to celebrate. I hope you guys have had a good week. I sound better. I'm feeling better. I'm not like 100%. I'm pretty convinced I might have had a run-in with COVID. The fatigue is just like lingering and killing me, but we're pushing through. I have been scripting like crazy. For whatever reason, I think it's because season 5 of The Vampire Diaries is such a slog. I forget how much I love season 6, but I do. It's like definitely one of my favorite seasons of the show. I don't love the ending. We're gonna get into that, not today, but yeah. Anyway, somebody commented, it's one of my favorite comments I've gotten so far since starting this channel last week, saying that it feels like we're having a gossip session and we're just talking like about our stupid friends. And that has made me so happy because that's how it feels. Like, I know we've said like unhinged bedtime stories, but I feel like the unhinged bedtime stories go best with Once Upon a Time because that's like, I'm telling you the story of Storybrooke, you know? But here, when we're just shit talking the inhabitants of Mystic Falls, I agree. It's a hot gossip sesh, as it should be. This show is ridiculous and we need to go over every detail. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, don't forget to do that now, but otherwise, let's get into it. Episode 7. Okay, remember that cliffhanger from last week? Elena and Damon are facing each other. They're back together, they're talking. But unfortunately, her memories do not come back. He makes a little Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind joke here. We love a man with taste. I'm gonna be real, all things considered, he handles this relatively well. Like, he does not go on a killing spree. He doesn't snap any necks. He doesn't even yell and scream, okay? If anything, he just kind of cries. He just gets real sad and in his feelings. After the realization that Elena's memories are not just gonna like magically come back, Damon goes over to Rick and checks on him because remember, Rick is in the hospital. He gives him a hard time, but he's also his best friend, so he's checking on him. He also brings up a point of contention that drives me crazy. It's this like impossible loophole that they stumbled into with Rick turning into a human across the border, and it infuriates me every time I see it. I'm like, why did they write it that way? Because the compulsion on Elena for her memories to be gone, when Rick dies as a vampire, it should go away. Y'all remember when Rick died? Like, he died in Joe's arms and then he woke back up. He died. So why did it not work? Because he died a human? That doesn't make any sense to me. That just, I refuse. I don't like it. I think it's dumb. And so does Damon. Enzo, Stefan, and Matt, the dream team we did not know we needed, wake up Trip. Trip's tied up in a shed. And before they kill him, Enzo is like, we need to get information about his friends, okay? Because these hunters are crazy and we need to know more about them. So Stefan just goes cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs mode and starts torturing Trip to get him to talk. Caroline Forbes is having the time of her life encouraging Elena to not date Damon. Finally, she's like, I have everything I need. Don't date him. I'm not gonna date Stefan. You don't date Damon. No more Salvatore boys. She starts pushing Elena towards Liam, which is unfortunate because Liam can't let that girl from the party that was supposed to die but didn't go, and he's like looking into the labs and trying to get more information on what happened to her and the truth of the matter, and Elena's just like, oh my god, I really need you to stop doing that, but he doesn't listen. And then he kisses her and invites her to the hospital fundraiser. Back to the prison world. Bonnie wakes up in the prison world on the couch and she sits up. Her wound has been bandaged. There's no longer an arrow sticking out of her abdomen. And Kai is across the room trying to put the ascendant back together because remember, she shattered it into a million pieces. He's kind of back on the whole can we work together train, and she's having none of it. So he grabs her and starts stealing her magic. She stabs him in the neck with a pin so he bleeds out, you know, just girly pop things. She takes the ascendant pieces and runs away. We watched this man die so many times, like a comical amount of times, okay? They really said, we're gonna keep you. Not only are we gonna keep you, we're gonna bring you back repeatedly. But every time, my guy, you're gonna die. You're gonna die more than once, every time. Stefan goes to see Caroline because he's still trying to repent and be her friend again, but she's having none of it, and she kicks him out. And right as he's being kicked out, Liz calls her and is like, hey, Caroline, do you know where Trip is? And Caroline's like, no, why would I know where Trip is? And Liz is like, oh, because his men kidnapped me, and if you don't give Trip back to them, they're gonna kill me. So Stefan and Caroline get thrown together once again to go try to save Trip because he's being tortured and probably murdered by Enzo and Matt. Enzo finally answers her phone calls, and she's like, where have you been? Why weren't you answering me? Did you kill Trip yet? And he's like, no, I wasn't ignoring you on purpose. I'm so sorry. My hands were covered in blood, and I couldn't get the touchscreen to work. He agrees not to kill Trip until they get Liz back. The whole Liz being stolen situation pisses Matt Donovan off and like proves to him that Trip is the bad guy. Back to our girl Bonnie. She is running. She's in the hospital now looking for things to put on her wound. Then she starts frantically trying to put the ascendant back together because time is ticking. Tyler is helping Liv out with work. She works at like the grill in the college town. And it's real cute. They're getting real flirty, you know, now that she's getting over the murder that she committed. Damon crashes the hospital fundraiser with Joe and Rick, who went together because they're also getting cute and flirty. Damon sees Elena come in with Liam, though, and so that's like a knife to the heart. So Damon being Damon, he can't let it go, and he like introduces himself to Liam, and then Liam is like, hold on. Damon isn't your boyfriend that died? You told me he died. Why is he here now? And Elena and Damon have to be like, oh, she meant like an emotional, like the breakup was so bad, it felt like he died, but he's back now, Liam. So be threatened. Enzo and Caroline are reunited when they meet up to switch Trip and Liz, and we get another cute like hello gorgeous moment because that's what he calls her, and it's, I live for her being flirted with by the villains. But because Enzo is the way he is, he gets a little jealous, and he uses this moment where Caroline's like snapping at Stefan to be like, are you a complete and total idiot? She's hard on you because she likes you, Stefan. Where have you been? And Stefan is like, she what? No. And Caroline's standing there like, so upset. And Enzo just leaves. He just drops that bomb on them and then is like, I'm needed elsewhere, and leaves. He's a menace to society. Damon and Elena are dancing now at that party, which is always a bad thing because you know our girl loves to dance and Damon loves to dance with her. He reminds her about that first dance they had back in season 1 at the pageant and how it was like the first moment they had together where like they realized they could be something more, and she is absolutely falling for him, but she's also struggling because she came to the party with Liam and she wants to be with Liam and she doesn't want to like be unfair to him. She also feels guilty because she knows that like Damon wants her to remember but she can't, so he's in pain, and he goes a little too hard and is like, I would rather spend every moment in agony than forget being with you. Are you learning nothing, Damon? She's a little freaked out still. Joe, an absolute star, reminds Rick that compelling Elena was Elena's choice and he needs to let go of the guilt he feels about not being able to give her memories back because that's on her. We're getting a little bit more of Joe's lore now, and so she tells Rick that she got away from her tragic family by giving up her magic, and that's why she's a witch, but she has no powers. Luke shows up at the party and tries to take Liv away with him because the coven is calling them home, but she refuses because she wants to stay with Tyler. Bonnie fixes the ascendant, but she's missing the final piece. And then the lights in the hospital go out. So Kai shows up and he's got the missing piece, but she attacks him and runs away again. She runs to the parking lot, she gets in Damon's car, she's trying to get away, but the car won't start. And then somehow, Kai's in the car with her. So he grabs her and he's like holding her in place and she's freaking out. It's bad. It's really bad. There are people that ship Bonnie and Kai together. I don't for moments like this because it's too much. Like there's things he does, there's moments where I'm like, wow, they have such good chemistry and they are flirting and I'm here for it. And then there's moments like this where I'm like, Kai, you've got to learn how to talk to people, okay? So he grabs her in the car and he's like, we have an hour until the eclipse. It's time to go home. Remember when I said just like a minute ago that Elena wants to be respectful of Liam's feelings? Forget that, okay? Now she's ready to just remember everything with Damon and get her memories back. So her plan is to like rewind time and go through their memories together and see if they can trigger them. And Damon is all for it. He's like, yes, Liam who? I don't know him. This is one of those scenes. Remember when I said that there are scenes where I see why people ship Bonnie and Kai, and then there are scenes where I'm like, absolutely not. It's not good. This is one of those scenes, okay? In the cave to do the spell, and he brought her stuffed animal. This is the little bear that I don't think we've talked about. I might have mentioned it. It was something that when they first, like her and Damon first got there, she went to her old house and got it, and she said like, this was my stuffed animal. I had it when I was a kid. I lost it. I haven't seen it in years. Look, she's here. How cool is this? So she has her bear back and Kai brings it to her. And he's like, I thought maybe you'd want to take her back with us. And she's like, thank you so much. But it's like, he goes from being, because he's manipulative and he's very unhealthy. But he goes from being the worst to this, and I'm like, this is why I'm conflicted. This is what he conflicts me. He gives a little speech about how he knows that she thinks he's a monster, and she's like, well, you murdered your siblings, and he's like, technically I didn't murder all of them, like some of them I just like seriously maimed, but I hear your point, I hear you, and after 18 years of self-reflection, I do agree that I probably could have handled my anger better. So he just wants to get his family back, and he would do anything to get them back. And he's also really nervous and scared about trying to figure out how to live in the world again, because remember, he's been stuck in 1994. And he hopes that Bonnie has been a good influence on him. And when he gets back, he wants to be more like her. Then he holds the bear up and he makes it blow her a kiss, and he's like, what do you say, friends? We're gonna keep coming back to these feelings because we get Kai's story so slowly, and when you get to like a certain scene where he says this one thing, it's gonna be a while until we like fully get to that moment. But oh boy, I can't wait to tell you how he feels. Anyway though, do you remember when Klaus, the mass murderer, killed so many people, has done so many war crimes? Remember when he looked at Caroline and was like, what do you say, friends? I'm just saying, they set us up for something we do not get. Back to the gang in Mystic Falls, they trade Trip and Liz over the border. Liz gets taken away very quickly. Trip is like, I'm so sorry about this. I know it was... His throat gets slit and he dies because Enzo is an evil little British genius and he turned him into a vampire and didn't tell anybody. Bonnie starts the spell with Kai. He is just vibrating out of his skin. He's so excited to go home. But then her magic disappears. So he's holding her hands and his little siphon powers aren't working because there's nothing there. And he's like, where did it go, Bonnie? Where is it? Turns out Bonnie put her magic in the bear. And then she got rid of the bear, so the bear is gone. So Kai has a meltdown. He starts screaming. And she's like, remember when you said you wanted to be nicer? Remember when you said you wanted to work on your anger? And I'm like, girl, don't taunt the man with ASPD. Don't pick on him. Of all the things you could be doing, that's bottom of the list. So he's so angry, he just like rounds on her, he gets all up in her space, and he just whispers, where's the stupid bear? And then Bonnie, once again, with no sense of self-preservation, is like, oh, it's gone. I guess we're stuck here forever. Sorry. So Elena's memories aren't coming back, even with Damon trying to talk her through them. It's just not working. He says his favorite memory with her is actually from the summer before she went to college. They went to watch a meteor shower together and it started to rain. That scene, oh boy. Elena makes the crazy batshit decision to run across the border full speed before he can stop her. She starts drowning in place, but she gets these weird flashes of memory as the compulsion is like ripped away from her. Damon grabs her and pulls her back across the border and he's like, what's wrong with you? You can't do that. You will die. And she's like, I was trying to break the compulsion. It was the only thing I could think of. And Damon's like, no, absolutely not. I'm not risking your life. It's not worth it. We'll figure it out. Caroline takes Liz to the hospital to get her checked out after her stay with Tripp's men, even though Liz swears she's okay, but she's not. She like might have a concussion and stuff. Stefan gets to talk to her a little bit, but she tells him that she's Caroline's mom and she can't help him get Caroline back, okay? He messed up. He's gonna have to just figure it out for himself. So Stefan goes to Caroline and is like, I'm just trying to understand. What do you mean, like, you had a thing for me? Like, why would you have a thing for me? I can't stand this scene, and neither can Caroline. She's like, what do you mean you don't get why I had a thing for you? Stefan, have you met yourself? Have you looked in the mirror, okay? The hero hair, all the good deeds. You're a good guy, Stefan. At least I thought you were, and you were my best friend, and I trusted you. So, of course, I fell for you a little bit. Are you blind? He says he's so sorry that he didn't see it at the time. And she's like, you mean you're sorry that you don't feel it back? And he's like, no, but I don't know what I feel. You know, I was so messed up during like that part of our friendship. Like, I'm not sure. And she's like, Stefan, I'm sure, okay? If you liked me even a little bit as much as I liked you, you wouldn't have treated me the way you did. So it's fine. We're done. Damon takes Elena home and she says, I remembered part of that night that you were telling me about. Can you tell me what happened after the rain started? And Damon is like, you know what, on second thought, I actually think you're better off without me. I think you should take this second chance and run free into the sunset and forget about me. I'll be fine. I'll be fine. Whiplash. These two, it's constant. It's next episode, different, okay? For right now, I guess they're breaking up again. Joe and Rick go home together. Nothing happens, but she changes where he can like see her in the reflection of one of the mirrors, and she's got this big scar on her stomach, and he's like, what is that from? She's like, oh, don't worry about that. It doesn't hurt. I had an accident when I was younger, and by accident, I mean my brother tried to gut me with a hunting knife. I'm sorry, your brother did what with the hunting knife, Joe? Way too calm about it. They kiss on the couch and it's cute. She is my favorite of Rick's love interest. Like Joe supremacy, I adore her. Liam brings Elena those labs of that girl and she's in big trouble because somehow that girl had a chronic injury in her shoulder and it's healed because Elena gave her the vampire blood. So he's like, I want to know what you did because this is fishy and you're a liar. Damon gets drunk in the cemetery and we get to finally see the summer night kiss in the rain moment. This is that iconic scene where it's like him and Elena and they're all cuddled up on each other and she says like, promise me this is forever. And he's like, I promise. It's that scene. And then he finds the bear in the cemetery and he grabs it and he's hugging it and he's like, Bonnie, you're alive. She's a genius. So in the eclipse, she like drained all her magic into the bear and then sent the bear to Mystic Falls. Trigger warning. We're going to talk about some kids being unalived in this episode. Nothing is shown on screen, but we are going to talk about it. Warning you now, if you need to skip ahead to episode 9, I understand. I'm not gonna get crazy graphic, but just wanted to put that out there. All right, so we open in a house we haven't been in before with a young woman lying on the landing of some stairs with a knife in her stomach. Who could it be? Off screen, somewhere else in the house, we hear Kai Parker yelling, Joe? Josette? I know you can hear me. Where are they? no. So young Joe pulls the knife out of her stomach and crawls down the hallway to a bedroom where two little blonde kids are hiding. Who do you think they are? She's like, do you guys want to play a game? We're playing a game. Nothing's wrong. Everything's fine. While she's bleeding out from her abdomen, she gets them in her arms and crawls under the bed with them. We cut to Kai strolling down the hallway, dragging a baseball bat through the trails of blood. He gets to the bedroom, he stalks around the room, and then hovers at the side of the bed while Joe is just holding the blonde kids, staring at his very bloody tennis shoes in complete horror. Then we cut to the prison world Kai, where he opens up the trunk of his car and Bonnie's inside and she's like, what's going on? And he's like, you have been asleep for a very long time. I actually flew a plane all by myself. We're in Portland now. Surprise. We learned that he's been alone for like roughly 7,000 days at this point, and if he's been keeping track correctly, it's his favorite day of the year, Thanksgiving. Bonnie's like, why did you bring me to Portland for Thanksgiving? And he's like, oh, we're at my family home. I'm cooking you dinner. He says dinner in his low register voice. I can't do it. You can't keep getting away with this. Listen, this is another piece of the puzzle that is Kai Parker, because remember, his story spans not only seasons but shows, so it takes forever to put all the little pieces together. But I could write essays on the fact that his favorite holiday is Thanksgiving. It is truly so painful to me, and it is like brushed over. It's just a detail that we know, and then they're like, forget about it. Don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain. It doesn't matter that he picked that day. It's just a day. But for me, I'm like, oh, you mean the severely mistreated and traumatized child loves the one day of the year when the family gathers together to share a meal. That's what you mean by that? You can say what you want. You can be like, he loves to snack. We see him eating all the time. Maybe he just likes food and that's why he picked Thanksgiving. You are choosing to ignore the implications of the fact that he just wants one night a year where he can sit at the table with everybody else. Argue with the wall. I am not a Kai Parker apologist, but I am a firm believer that if that boy had just been given love and attention, but also therapy, we'd have a different show. We'd have a different character on our hands. Anyway, Elena has decided, because she's super smart, she's just gonna tell Liam she's a vampire. She's gonna tell him the truth. What could go wrong? Rick, Damon, and Stefan are also in Oregon to try to look for the ascendant. They're gonna miss Friendsgiving because of this, but Stefan wasn't invited. Whoop. Damon wants Stefan to just go ahead and date Caroline already and just get it over with. Like, what's the big deal? Caroline is a wonderful girl. He should just date her. But Stefan swears up and down that he doesn't like her like that. They get to the home of the Gemini coven, and it's just this big empty field. Where's the house? Back in the prison world, Kai strolls up to the same plot of land, and there is a house. Big old family house in the middle of a field. He has this moment of being like, I can almost hear the pitter-patter of little sibling feet and the witchy-woo chanting in the air. Mom and Dad calling me an abomination. She's like, why did we have to come here? And he's like, because I wanted to show somebody. I've been alone for 18 years. Welcome to my home. Please come inside. He explains that in the real world, it's hidden by the coven's magic, thus why the men are standing there looking at an empty field. But here in the prison world, there's no one to do those spells, so the house is open and Bonnie can come inside. Damon uses the bear to tease Stefan about the fact that everybody, including the bear, knew that Caroline liked him, and Stefan's a big ol' freaking idiot. So Stefan takes the bear and like punts it into the field, and it springboards off the spell, blocking the house, and suddenly they can see the house. Tyler and Liv arrive at Thanksgiving. She meets Joe, and Joe's like, wow, you look so familiar. Have we met before? And Liv is like, no, I don't think we've met before. Because remember, Liv is a raging bitch. That's her thing. Luke is an escapist, Liv is a raging bitch. We're gonna learn why but that's how they cope. Speaking of escapism, Luke is working on a fun time family video because Liv and Luke's birthday is coming up and they're turning 22 and he wanted to do something special for her. Liam tells Elena that he double-checked the charts, those medical records. Everything was normal. He's so sorry he yelled at her. Joe is like, I did that for you, bestie, because I'm dating your weird dad, uncle, brother figure guy, and we're gonna be family. At the witch house, Rick just goes inside the front door and heads up the stairs. And then we get a flash and we go to the prison world where the house is covered in blood. And Kai like strolls through the shot into the kitchen. He's making dinner for Bonnie. She finds his pager on the dinner table and starts like fiddling with it. Remember, he's a 90s boy, so pagers still a thing. He snatches it back from her and he's like, don't touch that. I don't want you to break it, which is such an older sibling thing to do. Bonnie is kind of tired of playing house and she's like, I want to be as far away from you as possible. So what's it gonna take for you to let me just leave and we can just live in this world separated? Okay, we don't have to be around each other. We don't have to hang out. Just let me go and you'll never have to deal with me again. And Kai is like, okay, fine. Can we please just have Thanksgiving dinner together since I've been alone for 18 years? Friendsgiving, as you can imagine, with a group of Liv, Tyler, Luke, Caroline, Elena, Liam, Joe, and no one else, is very awkward. Caroline tries to get everybody to sit down and be quiet and start eating, and they're gonna go around the table and in 500 words or less say what they are thankful for. But then Luke is like, actually, do you guys want to see a family video of me and Liv? And he like busts out this clip and distracts everybody with it. Joe comes into the room and is like, what is that? And Elena's like, Joe, that kind of sounds like your voice. And Joe's like, that's because it is my voice. That was taken at a birthday party for the twins. Lucas and Olivia? They are the blonde little children that she was hiding under the bed with when Kai was trying to kill everybody. They're all one big, not so happy family, and now they're reunited, yay! Rick figures out the same exact thing. He comes out of the house with all these paper clippings and pictures of Joe, and there is this weird picture of Joe and Kai in Christmas sweaters, and Damon's like, that's Kai. Why is he in this picture? I don't know, Damon. It doesn't make sense given facts we learn later. Why are they in this picture together? I don't know, but there is a very cute picture of the two of them in Christmas sweaters together. It shouldn't exist, in my opinion, but it does. This guy shows up and he's like, who the fuck are you? Why are you on my property? How do you know my son? He shakes Damon's hand and then turns himself and Damon invisible so that Rick and Stefan are left standing in the yard like, where did the house go? Where is Damon? What history lesson from our bestie, Joe? Grams knew the Geminis, okay? It makes sense because she was like an elder in the Bennett coven and then the Geminis are very powerful, so it makes sense that they would have connections to each other. Joe actually went to Grams, which is kind of like why Joe is so close to Mystic Falls, because she's in the college town area. So she went to Grams when she left the coven, and Grams is the one that helped Joe like get on her feet and escape and start over. Grams is also the Bennett that helped trap Kai in the prison world, and I'm gonna be so real with you guys right now, that feels out of character for her to me. It just does, okay? Maybe younger, maybe like 1994 Grams was like, sure, whatever, that tracks, we can do it, but I just feel like the Grams we know and love would have had some questions and concerns. So their dad is the leader of the coven currently. Joe and Kai are the oldest twins, and Luke and Liv are the youngest. Those other four in the middle are no longer with us. Liam is still at Friendsgiving, not handling words like witchcraft and spells and coven very well, so Caroline sends him away. Joe says Kai killed those four siblings in the middle to make a point, but he was actually going after Luke and Liv. Everybody at the table is like, why? Why on earth would he do that? What happened? And she explains that Kai doesn't have his own magic, okay? He could only steal it from others. He isolated himself and he acted out, and the parents were like, that boy cannot be the leader of our coven. He is a problem. So they just kept having children until they had a second set of twins. That's why they have so many kids. It took him a while, but Kai figured out the plan and what was going on, and that's when he snapped. Damon wakes up on a couch inside the Parker family home, and Joshua, his name's Joshua, their awesome dad, and he wants to know how Damon got out, if Kai is still in there, and if Kai now knows how to get out. Damon just wants the ascendant. He's like, I will answer all of your questions if you will just give me that thing that I need so that I can go save my friend, because she's stuck in there with him, okay? And Joshua's like, ugh, I get it, you know, but as you seem to have figured out, my son is an unhinged murderer, and I can never let him be free again. We get back to Friendsgiving, where, as you can imagine, Caroline and Elena and Tyler have some questions, and they're like, what does twins have to do with him murdering, and why did he want to kill them? What do you mean, Joe? You didn't explain anything very well. This was not enough information. So it comes out in like broken pieces from Joe and Luke and Liv that their family has a fun, sick and twisted little tradition that they do where the leader of the coven has children, right? Twins, sets of twins are born to the family, and they grow up to age 22. And then they do this fun thing called the merge, where they blend their power together. The stronger one becomes the leader of the coven, and the weaker one dies. It doesn't even sound cool, okay? Why would you want to do that to your kids? There's no one making them do this. I want that to be very clear, okay? The Bennetts don't do this. This is not a thing. They just decided this is how they were going to operate their coven and named themselves the Geminis, okay? The Gemini itself doesn't have anything to do with the Parkers. They are just a family that happened to be in this coven, and this is what happened to them. Y'all can make your own rules. In this world, there is nobody telling you what to do, and this is what you decide. This is your choice. What? What? So Liv runs off because it's obviously an upsetting topic of conversation, and Tyler goes after her. He's like, why didn't you tell me? And she's like, you want to hear about how awful and terrible my family is? Because Liv gets it, okay? Liv has reached the point that I have always been at, which is, why would anybody do this to their children? And Tyler is like, girl, I am one accidental murder away from being a dog, okay? I think I can handle your family being a little weird. This is when we find out that the reason why she pushed Tyler away so much and why she's like denied her feelings for him so often is because it's too hard. Because this whole time she's been approaching this deadline with Luke where one of them is going to die. Joshua tells Damon that if Kai gets out, the first thing he's gonna do is go after Joe. He's gonna force her to do the merge with him. He's gonna win because his siphon powers, he'll overwhelm her and she won't be strong enough to beat him. So he'll win and become the new leader of the coven. And they can't let that happen because the Geminis cannot be led by a madman. Oh my God. Jesus Christ. Damon is like, broski, I will just kill him. If he gets out somehow with me trying to get Bonnie out, I will just kill him for you. Right now, I don't care. Joshua is quite honestly maybe the worst father figure in this show. So he starts doing a spell that has something to do with Joe, and it can't be good. Elena has the very well-timed realization that she cannot tell Liam what she is because she doesn't trust him, and that means she also isn't in love with him. So a breakup is imminent. Rick calls Joe and is like, girl, I met your dad and then the house disappeared and he took Damon. What is going on? And she's like, what do you mean? You met my dad. Why are you in Oregon, you buffoon? She explains that if their dad gets a whiff of Kai getting out of the prison world, he will retaliate, so they are in danger. And also they're stupid because the ascendant has been with her the whole time. That spell that her father is doing is a murder Joe spell, so she starts coughing up blood and passing out in the living room. They don't have a way back into the house, so Joe is like, okay, do you see the tree stump in the yard? Go over to it. Also, Stefan, you are allowed inside. Kai and Bonnie have a very, very slow, like 2.5 hour long dinner together because he is dragging it out. He doesn't want to be alone, and he wants to finish telling her his story. She's like, I know your story. Your coven sent you here after you murdered your siblings. What more is there to say? And he's like, no, my family sent me here, okay? My father treated me like crap for 22 years, and then he locked me in this freaking hellhole. We get the line of Kai being like, he never cared about his kids. It was always like coven first, family second to his dad. That's fairly easily confirmed when we go back to Joshua finishing the spell that is killing Joe, and he says, the coven comes before family. Sir, again, you are making your own choices. You guys, you can say no. You can say, we don't want to do it anymore. What on earth? Damon tries to jump him, but he uses the aneurysm spell and Damon goes down. Then in the tree stump, Rick and Stefan find the knife that Joe pulled out of her stomach, you know, the one Kai stabbed her with. That's where she put her magic. So it's like the teddy bear. Stefan throws it onto the porch so that he can see the house again and go inside. He gets in and saves Damon, but before they can attack and grab Joshua, he turns himself invisible. That's gonna be a fun hallmark of the Parkers. They all just love to be invisible and do things while they're invisible. The trio of boys are fine now in Oregon, but Joe is dying on the couch, and there's nothing Liam and Elena can do because it's a creepy witch death. So her eyes are like covered with like a red film, like it's bad. Her dad like nuked her from the inside out, and Elena knows they don't have any other options, so she quickly bites her wrist and gives Joe some of her blood, and Liam is like, what is going on? We didn't even cut the turkey. It works, and Joe lives, but Liam freaks out. He does not handle the whole my girlfriend's a vampire very well at all. So Elena compels him and is like, I need you to forget our entire relationship. I'll see you in class on Monday. And he's like, I'll see you in class on Monday, Elena. And he leaves. Bye, Liam. Bye, Liam. Finally. It only took 7 episodes to get rid of him. We go back to the flashbacks from the beginning of the episode. We see Kai coming out of the house looking for the twins still with the baseball bat, while Joe is in the yard hiding her knife into the tree stump. She stops him and she's like, I will do the merge with you if you will just leave everybody else alone. And he's like, absolutely. That's what I wanted this whole time. He's telling Bonnie, he's like, she even gathered the coven to help. Like, everybody showed up, we're doing the merge, everything's good. They start the merge spell, but nothing happens. And Kai, again, they're holding hands because they're merging. And he's like, where's your magic, Joe? What did you do? Coven is standing around them. They're in the woods. The coven's standing around them in this creepy circle, and they're not saying anything. And this is when Kai starts to panic. He's like, what did you do, Joe? Why aren't they talking? Like, we're merging. This is a big deal. Why is no one saying anything? What is going on? The panic. And Joshua jumps out from behind a tree and is like, surprise, children. And he attacks Kai. The coven just watches while Kai screams and cries and rolls around on the ground in pain and gets sent to the prison world. Back in the prison world, done with his story. Kai's taken Bonnie to the big tree stump in the yard. He digs out the knife. He figured out what we already know, which is that Joe hid her magic in there because of what Bonnie did with the teddy bear. So that's the whole reason they came to Portland. That is why they're here, okay? So he gets the knife and he's like, would you look at that? It's still full of magic. He holds it in his hand and siphons all the magic off, and it like floats up, and then he catches it again and he's like, well, there's no magic in it anymore. So now he's all juiced up and ready to go home. And Bonnie's like, you need a Bennett witch to get home? And he's like, no, actually, I've watched you do that spell twice now. So I think I know how to do it. And all I need is Bennett blood. And then he stabs Bonnie. So he stabs Bonnie and leaves her there in the yard. Y'all know that meme that's like, that's your man? That's yours? That's how I'm starting to feel. After being filled in by Damon on why the dad was upset and everything, Rick is like, okay, great, well, we're not risking Joe's life, so we're gonna have to figure out another way to do this. And Damon is like, incredible, Rick, thank you. And then he compels him to steal the ascendant from Joe anyway. Liv wakes up at Tyler's house in Mystic Falls. He says that he wants to keep her there because magic doesn't work inside the town, so the coven can't track her. Like, if they want to come for her, they're gonna have to come into town and like do it the like human way to get to her. She agrees and thinks it's really sweet, and she apologizes for ruining Thanksgiving, and he says, it's okay. You can make it up to me next year because you're not dying. Stefan goes to see Caroline again. He apologizes this time for pushing her away after Damon died. He says that he had to do it that way because she was such a good friend that he knew she would let him like grieve and cry and be upset, and he couldn't take that, so he had to push her away in order for him to like handle things. Elena goes to see Damon. She's pissed about the fact that he didn't tell her that Bonnie was still alive, and also didn't take her to Oregon with him on Thanksgiving to go look for the things they needed to save Bonnie. He's like, I'm sorry, I didn't want to get your hopes up. Like, I'm getting my hopes up, and I'm a little scared because I got so attached to Bonnie in the prison world, and being her friend like meant a lot to me, and I just want her to be safe. She admits to breaking up with Liam because she still feels something for Damon. They make a plan to go get Bonnie together so that they can ask her for advice on what they should do for their relationship. It's so cute. Bonnie wakes up in the yard in Portland, so she can't die either. Grams did something, and now Bonnie and Kai, that prison world is like keyed to both of them, and so neither of them can die when they're there. The pager is going off, and the message is, I lied. She freaks out and goes running through the yard. Yeah, he took the car. So when she agreed to have dinner with him, he was like, absolutely, and I'll even give you my car so that you can leave when we're done. He's the worst. He's the worst. We open with Rick setting the mood at Joe's apartment with candles and Thai food and wine. There is a reoccurring theme between the two of them that in all the ways that Rick is basically an alcoholic, so is Joe, and I love that for them. Joe opens up and explains that her betraying Kai was her bargaining chip to get out of the family, so that's why they agreed to let her leave. And also she took the ascendant with her so that she could keep it and she would know that no one could let him out. The next morning, Rick brings the stolen ascendant to Damon, and then Damon compels him to forget all of that and go back to Joe and bring her coffee. Damon like got coffee for them, and he's like, go back to her, go have a good morning, bye-bye. Jeremy's doing better and finally ready to move on with his sad little life. So of course Elena chooses to tell him that Bonnie is actually still alive in the prison world and they think they can get her out. And Jeremy's like, amazing, I will believe it when I see it, bye. And he just jogs off because he's back on his workout grind. Liv agrees to help Damon and Elena with the spell that they need to go back into the prison world and find Bonnie. Tyler's distraught because he doesn't want anything to happen to her, but he lets her go because he's trying to learn boundaries, and he promises that he's gonna find a way to save her anyway. They have their first kiss. It has taken so many episodes to get here, but here we are. With Damon and Elena, Liv explains that they have about 8 hours to get to Bonnie and get out of the prison world. She gives them 3 vials of her blood so that she can like find them inside and bring them back out. So they hop over into the prison world to start looking for Bonnie. And Damon's like, remember, there's a 22-year-old homicidal murderer wandering around. Be careful. Except there isn't a 22-year-old homicidal maniac running around in the prison world. No, he's in a taxi with a taxi driver driving him somewhere, meaning he got out. He gets dropped off in Whitmore. He can't pay the fee for the taxi. So what does he do? He strangles the taxi driver with a freaking headphone cord. Elena and Damon can't find Bonnie, so they assume the worst, that Kai has taken her. So Damon sends his number to the pager, and they're like, now we just have to wait for Kai to call us back and we can find out where they are and hopefully bargain with him. Matt takes our girl Sarah to meet with Stefan, but Enzo shows up to kick up a fuss because he wants to know what's going on. Stefan is floored when he realizes that Sarah is here and the family has a new token human. And then Bonnie calls. She's in Indiana, so she needs to just gun it all the way back to Mystic Falls, but she should make it to them with like 30 minutes to spare. Liv is at work at the bar in the college town, and Kai comes in. She didn't recognize him, so he sits down at the bar and makes a fun little joke about how her name is Liv, and that's ironic. Joe confronts Rick about how he must have taken the ascendant because it's missing, and she and him are the only two that know where it was. He's like, no, why would I ever do that to you? I would never do that. No, absolutely not. I have no memory of taking it. And she's like, no memory of taking it. But your best friend's a vampire. I need to take you to the border right now, and we need to see if the compulsion wears off. Rick is adamant. He's like, absolutely not. Damon would never do that to me. He's my friend. And she's like, get in the car. Get in the car. Damon makes Elena pancakes like he used to make for Bonnie, and she puts the little whipped cream fangs on the smiley face like he used to do. I love moments like that. It's so cute. Quickly ruined, though, by the fact that he has to own up to stealing the ascendant because she's put it together that Joe would never have willingly given it up. So how did they end up with it? And he's like, yeah, I compelled Rick into stealing it. I'm sorry. This upsets her a lot, and she's like, you can't keep getting away with the behavior pattern of like using things like Bonnie and saving her in this instance to make me fall in love with you again. It makes you do terrible things. At the little diner that they're meeting at, Stefan orders milkshakes to cover up the sound because Enzo is listening. So he's covering the sound of him telling Sarah, I know you're lying. And I know you're not Sarah Salvatore. So in just a minute, you're gonna stand up with me and you're gonna get in my car and we're gonna go on a little drive. Back at the bar, Kai is trying to trigger Liv into realizing who he is, but it's not working because raging bitch. She just thinks he's this annoying idiot that won't stop talking and leave her alone. He's also on Twitter, which makes so much sense for him. I also think he would really like Tumblr. They're alone in the bar now and he asks for a proper drink. He orders gin and she makes fun of him and is like, you're an old man, what's wrong with you? And he's like, yeah, check my ID. She does. And she's like, this says 1972. Nice try. You look 19. And he's like, oh yeah, check it again. Why don't you look at the name and the address? She is like, Malachi Parker? And panics. Before she can get away, he grabs her arm and starts stealing her magic from her. She stabs him in the arm, and instead of running for the front door, she goes up to the second story because the bar has like a weird balcony second level above the back of the bar. So she runs up there. So he chases her and he locks all the doors, which he probably would have done even if she had run for the front door. But like, girl, this is a horror movie. Why would you go upstairs? He tells her that he's more than a little sad that she doesn't recognize him because it means that not only did their dad lock him in the prison world, but he must have erased Kai from existence within the family. And it's true because Liv and Luke have no idea what he looks like. Before he can like fully attack Liv though, he's villain monologuing and Tyler tackles him off the balcony. Enzo tells Matt that he doesn't believe that Stefan and Sarah just wanted to go on a friendly little family drive. In fact, he knows that Stefan is lying and he wants to figure out what he's lying about. Sarah keeps trying to convince Stefan that she is Sarah Salvatore and she is not lying and she would never lie, and she has these pictures of Zach and her mom, Grace, like, what? This is me, I'm Sarah, I promise. And he's like, actually, the real Sarah Salvatore goes to school at Duke University, and I've been watching her since the day she got adopted, okay? So you are a con artist, Missy. She tries to run away, but he's a vampire, so he stops her, and she admits that her name is actually Monique. Elena has gone to her old house to sulk on the front porch. Damon comes over and he tells her that he's not saving Bonnie for Elena. He's saving Bonnie for Bonnie because he misses her and he wants to save her. She's his friend. She says that the porch swing used to creak and he's like, oh yeah, it did. I fixed it. I kind of fixed everything that was even remotely wrong with the house in 1994 because I missed you so much. And Bonnie and I came here every day and talked about you. And Elena is like, oh my God. You know, Damon, I'm really sorry that I got rid of the memories because they were only half mine and I shouldn't have done it. Yeah, girl. Nice. I'm glad we're on the same page. All of a sudden, they get yeeted out of the prison world and they find Tyler and Liv standing there. Tyler's like, I'm sorry, we had to get you out. I have to take Liv back into Mystic Falls. Her brother's here. Monique tells Stefan that she met Sarah and they were friends, and she decided to take over her life when she found out that Sarah had no intention of going after her family, and Monique just desperately wanted a family. So she was like bouncing around through foster care and had a miserable upbringing, and she just wanted to find people. And since Sarah didn't want them, Monique took them. Stefan's like, I get it. That's very sad. Give me your Vervain bracelet. I'm compelling you. Forget everything. Leave. Bye-bye. But Enzo and Matt show up, and Matt is like, why doesn't she know who I am anymore? Did you compel her? What are you hiding, Stefan? Is Enzo right? Are you lying about something? Enzo is a nightmare, so he grabs Monique and is like, tell me what's going on, or I'll kill her, Stefan. Stefan insists that the baby is dead, and so this girl is not Sarah Salvatore, and that's as simple as it is. He was just getting rid of her. Enzo says, that's not the whole truth, and I know it. And because Stefan doesn't stop him, he kills Monique. Back in the cemetery, Damon assures Elena that they have the ascendant. They can go back in to get Bonnie as many times as they need to. They will get her out. It will be okay. So of course, Kai shows up and smashes it against a tree. He also says he didn't think Bonnie Bennett was that great, which is a damn lie. Damon goes to kill him, but Kai took that magic from Liv, so he's strong right now. They get into a fight, and then he lights the ascendant on fire while Elena is holding it, and it catches her arm on fire too. Then he starts using voiceless magic, which is not supposed to be easy to do. He's hiding from Damon, and Damon still manages to catch him and hit him, and he throws him over the town border. So his magic stops, and Elena is no longer on fire. And Kai's like, oh no. Looks like there's a psycho running around Mystic Falls and no vampires around to stop him. Whoops. He just walks into town. Holding Monique's dead body, Matt tells Stefan that he's actually a lot like Enzo because he's always been willing to let humans die if it means saving vampires. You remember just like an episode or so ago when Matt was like, Trip is the problem. Humans like this are what's wrong with the world. We should just work with the vampires. Forget that, okay? Forget all of that. Elena calls Jeremy and tells him exactly what he knew was gonna happen, which is that they didn't save Bonnie and she's still trapped in the prison world. Then Matt shows up and is like, I need you to channel all that rage and sadness you're feeling into becoming a hunter again because we're gonna kill Enzo. Okay, Matt, where did that come from? Rick confronts Damon and punches him in the face as retaliation for the compulsion trick, and then he punches him again when he finds out that Kai did get out, and now Joe's in danger. Elena comes over to comfort him, and he says that he left Bonnie a note that said they were going to be on the front porch of Elena's house, and she should be getting there now, and they're not there, so she's all alone. Sure enough, we cut to Bonnie running through the street, running up onto the front porch, opening the door, and realizing she's all alone. It is heartbreaking. There's like music swelling, so we can't hear her crying, but she just like drops to her knees and like sinks into a puddle and just sobs. Tyler comes home and finds Kai drinking a bottle of gin in the living room. He tries to fight him, but Kai just breaks the bottle on the door jamb and puts it to Tyler's throat. And he's like, I'd rather not kill you, but I will. Tyler asks what he wants, and Kai's like, this is gonna sound crazy, but I actually want to save Liv's life. He lets him go and lowers the bottle and goes, feel like making a deal with the devil? I volunteer. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's gossip session over these freaking idiots. We love them so much, but they're so stupid. I hope you all had great weeks and you're heading into awesome weekends. It's November. It's my birthday month. I'm ready. I'm ready for the fall vibes. I'm ready for the fall vibes without any more sickness getting in the way. As always, don't forget to subscribe if you aren't already. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you so soon. Have a good one. Bye.